Yeah, welcome back. So today we are going to do the second order sufficiency conditions for uh, uh, we'll start with the NEP problem, and this is proposition 2 3.2.1 of Burtsikas. So consider we are what is the problem that we are considering? Consider f of a, I'm sorry, minimize f of x of s, minimize f of x of x, f being a function from Rn to R, twice continuously differentiable, and constraints h1 of x equal to 0 and so on up to hm of x equal to 0. All functions, our functions f and hi's are twice continuously differentiable. All right. Now, let x star in Rn satisfy the following. So, what I want to say here is, in the necessary conditions, we start by saying let x star be an optimal. Then we list out we list out a set of things which it should automatically meet. Those are necessary things for it to be optimal. Here we are not saying that let x star be a minimum. Here we are saying that these are the set of conditions which I am going to write down now. These are the set of conditions that my NEP x star, a feasible point to the NEP, is meeting. If so, then I am sure that I am at the optimal. So that's why this is a sufficiency condition. Unfortunately, here we don't have necessary and sufficient conditions. Necessary conditions is a subset of the sufficiency conditions, and there could be uh, different sufficiency conditions. It's not necessary that you need to only have one set of sufficiency conditions. For example, there are sufficiency conditions where regularity assumption can be relaxed, for example. But I am going to work with the with the regularity assumption throughout this course. Okay. So let x star from Rn satisfy the following. So first of all, what is it that we are going to do? We are going to write the Lagrangian function, is it not? Which is same as f of x plus sigma, uh, which is same as f of x plus sigma I equal to 1 to m lambda I hi of x. Okay, so this is my Lagrangian function, and what is given to me is that gradient of the Lagrangian function at x star and lambda star is 0, and gradient of the Lagrangian function with respect to lambda is also 0. So in other words, is a stationary point. The x star lambda star is a stationary point of the Lagrangian function. So this is one thing which is given. This is a part of necessary condition, if you recall. And this other part only means h of x of star is equal to 0 vector. That's all it means. Nothing more it means. The extra thing that is given is in the second order condition, which is that y transpose second derivative of L x star lambda star y is strictly greater than 0 for all y not equal to 0 with gradient of hx of star transpose y equal to 0. So where is the y coming from? This is a m cross n matrix. How does this matrix look like? This matrix looks like the following. Okay. Uh, Gradient of h1 with respect to x1, gradient of h1 with respect to x2, so on up to gradient of h1 with respect to xn, then gradient of h2 with respect to x1, gradient of h2 with respect to x2, so on up to gradient of x2 with respect to xn, and so on. Gradient of hm with respect to x1, gradient of hm with respect to, it's a Jacobian matrix if you look at it, hm with respect to xn. And so this is my this is what is my m cross n matrix. And when I say, so when I say compactly that this is equal to 0, it means y comes belongs to null space of this Jacobian uh, matrix. Is it not? That's what I am saying. And obviously, because I say something to be greater than 0 in this quadratic form, to be greater than 0, the y also has to be not equal to 0. So y is a non-zero null space vector of this particular matrix. And what is this? This is the curvature of the Lagrangian function calculated at x star lambda star with respect to the x variables. And so the second order condition is saying that either way you can say that the projected Hessian uh, either way you can say that the projected Hessian on the null space of the Jacobian of the constraint functions is positive definite. This is one way of saying it. Or other way of saying it is that all non-zero null space vectors have a positive curvature with respect to the Lagrangian, with respect to the Hessian of the Lagrangian function evaluated with respect to x variables. So this is a n cross n matrix. What are the kind of terms that are involved here? The terms involved here, this matrix looks like following: x1 square, x1 x2, x1 xn, and being symmetric, I am just writing it this it's same way. Actually, it's a symmetric matrix. And this term is going to be, and where is this evaluated? At x star lambda star. So this is a n cross n matrix. So that's about it. Then if these conditions are satisfied, which conditions are we trying to satisfy? We are trying to satisfy this. Let me write it as 1 satisfies the following: 1 and 2. So these two conditions are satisfied. So satisfies the following means 1 and 2. Then the theorem says then x star is a strict local minimum of x subject to h of x to be equal to 0. So it characterizes over the necessary conditions. Only additional thing that we have added is this requirement, nothing more. Only this is the only additional thing that uh, uh, we have put here. Okay. So let's take a example now to illustrate this point. So this is example 3.2.1 of BERT-CICAS, and our problem is to we are given here a rectangular parallelepiped, okay, cuboid, with sides x1, x2 and x3, and we want to maximize the surface area. So for surface area, the multiplication by the constant scalar I am dropping. So like x1, x2 will repeat twice on the two sides and so on. So that I am just dropping, but there are basically three important faces. Then the lower face is the same as the upper face and so on. So I'll just write it as, you can, if you want, you can write it as twice of this, but I am just writing it as maximize x1, x2, x3 subject to the restriction on the sum of the length of the sides, and that is, I am saying x1 plus x2 plus x3 to be equal to 3. So actually x1 will repeat here, x1 will repeat here, x1 will repeat here, x1 will repeat here. So it needs 4 times in that sense. But again, that's just a scaling thing. So therefore we are just writing, for the optimization problem, we are just writing x1 plus x2 plus x3 is equal to 3. Okay. Now if we write the minimization problem for this, because we are learning all our conditions in terms of minimization problem, so we always follow a standard procedure of converting all maximization problems first to minimization problems. So we write this as minimize minus of x1 x2 plus x2 x3 plus x3 x1 subject to x1 plus x2 plus x3 is equal to 3. Now what do you do? Next, write the Lagrangian function. So I write the Lagrangian function as minus x1 minus x2 x3 minus x3 x1 plus, since there is only one constraint, I write it as this only, is it not? And then what do I do? I look for the stationary point of, I want to look at the stationary point of it. So if I take the partial derivative with respect to x1, then the first term here will give you minus x2, this term will give you 0, and this term will give you minus x3, and then this term will give you a lambda out, and these three terms will not give you anything in partial derivative with x1. So therefore this is minus x2 minus x3 plus of lambda. So the star's optimal values have to satisfy this condition. Now similarly, when you take it with respect to the partial derivative with respect to x2, then that is going to be, if the first term will give you minus x1 star, second term will give you minus x3 star, third term will not give you anything, and then from the constraint part you will only again get a lambda star corresponding to lambda times of this, and this should be equal to 0. And the third one, similarly, is going to be, first term doesn't give me anything in partial derivative with x3. The next term gives me minus x2 star. Then the next term gives me minus x1 star plus of lambda star is equal to 0. And the constraints require that x1 star plus x2 star plus x3 star should be equal to 3. So I have 4 equations and 4 variables. Hopefully I should be able to solve them. So let's see. What I am going to do is I am going to just add the first, second and third equation. Okay, so x2 star will combine with this x2 star, make it 2x2 star. x3 star will combine with this x3 star, make it 2x3 star. x1 star will combine with this x1 star, make it 2x1 star. So, and this will combine to give 3 lambda star. So I am going to get minus of 3 times x1 star plus x2 star plus x3 star, I'm sorry, minus of 2 times. It's every variable repeats twice. So minus of 2 times of this plus of 3 lambda star will be equal to 0. This is by adding 1, 2 and 3. This is 1 plus 2 plus 3. Is it not? So adding 1, 2 and 3. Now what is x1 plus x1 star plus x2 star plus x3 star? Um, that is 1, is it not? And hence um, and hence what do I get now? I get that, 1 minute. Uh, when I added these three things together, x2 star added with x2 star, so minus 2 minus x3 star minus x1 star, and so I added them together. So did I get 2x2 star? Yeah. So if I substitute it here, I get lambda star should come out to be uh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. This one is, and in my mind, I was thinking that x1 star plus x2 star plus x3 star is equal to 1, but it's actually 3, sorry. So this is going to be 3 lambda star is equal to 6, or lambda star is equal to 2. And then it by symmetry, if you substitute, look at the first equation, for example, x2 star plus x3 star is equal to 2. That's what now the first equation says. And similarly, you have x1 star plus uh, x3 star to be equal to 2, and x1 star plus x3 x2 star to be equal to 2. So by symmetry, you can easily see that, or even otherwise by brute force solving, you will see that this should be, each of them should be equal to 1. Okay. Now we need to look at the second order. Now this is what our necessary condition, now first order conditions have been solved. We have got a stationary point. Now we have to see what our second order conditions say, and if we are lucky and if we can directly meet the second order sufficiency conditions, then we can just say that we have arrived. So now let's look at the Lagrange Hessian of the Lagrangian function. Okay, this is to say that you are looking at a matrix of, there is only one equation, right? I mean, the constraint is only 1, and this is to be evaluated at x star. This is what is our the Hessian of the Lagrangian function with respect to x variables. Now, h is of what form? h is of the form of this. So when you look at its second derivative, any second derivative, it's 0. So therefore, this part is in our particular example will not play any role because our constraints are linear. So in this case, x star lambda star, the Hessian is same as the Hessian of the objective function, and that you can see from here. What is the partial derivative with respect to x1 star? It's 0 because there is x1 only comes once in each of any of these expressions. Nowhere you are having x1 star or more. So therefore, uh, therefore, all the diagonal elements are going to be 0. Partial derivative of the objective function with x1 star, x2 star, x3 star are going to be 0. If I take partial derivative of f, second derivative of f with respect to x1 and x2, what will I get? Minus 1. With respect to x2 and x3, what will I get? Again a minus 1. And with respect to x3 and x1, again I will get a minus 1. So, and then this matrix is going to be symmetric matrix. So therefore, I can write this as 0 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 0 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 and 0. Okay. Now next we have to look at y transpose. Sorry, I have to write the second derivative part here. Y, I have to look at this particular thing, and this is going to be equal to what is the restriction? Okay, this is going to be equal to y1, y2, y3, 0 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 0 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 0 times of y1, y2, y3. And what is the restriction on y? The restriction on y is x star, this should be equal to 0, but my h of x is x1 plus x2 plus x3 minus 1. So then what is the Jacobian matrix here? 1, 1 and 1. So therefore, when I say this times of y, then this is going to be equal to y1, y2 and y3, and this is equal to 0 is equal to saying y1 plus y2 plus y3 is equal to 0. So, and of course y, I should not, whole of the y cannot be a 0 vector. So now if I expand this here, okay, this is y1, y2, y3 times minus of y2 plus y3 minus of y1 plus y3 and minus of y1 plus y2. And so if I expand it further, it is y1. Okay, before expanding it further, what I will do is, I know now my y1 plus y2 plus y3 is 0. So what is y2 plus y3? It is minus of y1. So I'm sorry, it is y1, y2, y3, and the first term will become minus of minus of y1 plus y2 is my y2 plus y3, y2 plus y3 is minus of y1, and then there is a minus sign here. So therefore, it is going to be plus of y1. Then similarly, minus of y1 plus y3 is going to be just y2, and minus of y1 plus y2 will be just equal to y3. And so this is going to be equal to, on the restricted null space, this is going to be equal to y1 plus square plus y2 square plus y3 square, which is strictly greater than 0 for all y not equal to 0. So that means my sufficiency condition, my second order sufficiency condition, that is, it should have a positive definiteness on the, or a positive curvature on the null space of the Jacobian of the equality constraints is satisfied, and it is already a stationary point. So all the sufficiency conditions are met, and hence the cube, basically that becomes a cube, x1 star equal to x2 star equal to x3 star is equal to 1 makes it a cube. So cube maximizes with unit side, it maximizes the problem of, is that rectangular parallelepiped with the maximum surface area. So the maximum is at, I'll simply write that, means maximum occurs at x1 star is equal to x2 star is equal to x3 star is equal to. Okay, thank you. So next I will take up the sufficiency condition for the inequality constraint optimization problem, the KKT ones. Thank you.